Hi everybody, I'm Joe Acker, the subject coordinator for APS505, and welcome to week 2. I hope last week was an opportunity for you to explore the subject outline, get to know the modules of the subject, interact with some of your colleagues on the forum, and also get a sense of what's expected for the subject. In the subject outline, you'll identify that there are a number of assessment items, which seems to be a little complex, but over the short video, I'll try to explain very clearly what the expectations are. So now that we're in week 2, the honeymoon is over and we're going to get down to some work. One of the things I hope you have the opportunity to do is on the front page, scroll down to the bottom of the introduction and you'll see that we have a globe, the subject globe, where you can put a pin on your location, put a little bit about yourself on there, and just see where everybody's from. I think one of the greatest things about this subject is that we have students from all over the world and lots of different perspectives. So from the UK, Canada, Australia, and pretty much every state and territory in Australia, we've got somebody in the subject to add some perspective. So please go on and do that. You don't have to put your exact address. Please don't do that. We don't want any stalkers following you up, but just put a little bit about yourself. I know some of you know each other from the subject already, but we do have some new people that are studying this stream for the first time. As you go through Module 1, you'll see that there are a number of readings from Tintinelli, Emergency Medicine textbook. And if you haven't bought the textbook yet, please buy the 9th edition. It's brand new, just out in about October or November last year. And it really is a good investment of $300. Now that sounds expensive, but you get a lot for your money. It's really good value, and I guarantee that you'll use that as a reference for the next several years in your career. So if you haven't bought the textbook yet, go ahead and do so. If you do have the old textbook, the same one I have, which is the 8th edition, it's still excellent, and in fact it's kind of better for the subject because I haven't yet updated all the page numbers. But if you do go to the 9th edition, the page numbers will be different, but the chapter numbers are exactly the same. When you get into the module, you'll see that there's links to videos, there's readings, there's some summaries that I've provided, and it's all there to engage you in different learning styles. So depending on your learning style, find out what works best for you. And at the end of the day, you're adult learners. You really need to do whatever it takes to accomplish the learning outcomes for the subject, which is to do critical care paramedic skills. So let's talk about the assessment items. We have a few due dates coming up that I'll make you aware of in this video, and also describe some of the assessment items more clearly so that you have a clear understanding of where we're going with them. So we'll first look at assessment number 3, which is forum case study contributions. I've got 2 cases for each module, and you can choose one or the other. You don't have to do both. You can if you like, but you certainly don't have to. And the concept here is that I want you to use these cases as basically the stem or the conversation starter to explore topics of this subject. And I've provided a series of conversation starters with, consider the preparation to the scene, imagine the patient communication that's required, or the patient management, particularly pertaining to the skills required. Now, what I want you to do is just scroll through these very simple high-level overviews of a case. Of course, not all of the information is there. I want to leave some questions and some opportunities for you to be creative. And then go into the forum using the literature that's available, whether it's something from your ambulance service that's new, something from your readings, maybe something that you found online, or a concept that you're really interested in. Explore it a little more deeply and then present it to us online. It's a great opportunity to explore your learning gaps. As adult learners and going through the subject, there's things that you are not aware of or have no experience with. So use these case studies as an opportunity to explore that. And when you start, you first won't be able to see what everybody else has posted. And I think that's only fair because those who go first have an opportunity to choose from a wide range of areas and also can use a lot of literature. But as we go through the subject, I'm going to open up the forum so that you can see who's posted what, so we're not all posting on the same topic. And essentially, this is an opportunity to really use your experience, your knowledge, your education, and mostly to create a community of practice so that we are all learning together. So when you go into the forums, you'll see we've got the cases listed here. I've still got a few to finish up, so we'll have 2 for each module. But the first one, Carly has 7 participants with 15 total posts, which is outstanding. So let's take a look at what we've got so far. Now, what we have is some really incredible opportunities to learn in this. So Kylie's discussed management of a TBI, and I posted a question about seizure prophylaxis and an article for review. Alex added a conversation about EFAST to that. So again, really, really excellent posting. Bria opened up a conversation about the maintenance of cerebral perfusion pressure, and that opened up the conversation that followed about the Monroe-Kelly doctrine, which gets into some advanced pathophysiology and management of TBI. Caitlin introduced the concept of democratic scene leadership, and that really evolved into what I think is a fascinating conversation about theories of paramedic practice, or in other words, what makes paramedics kind of unique to other health professionals. And we explored the space control theory, which is proposed by Dr. Anthony Campo, who's a paramedic researcher. So I strongly recommend people read that one. It's something that's near and dear to my heart, and I think really fascinating, and terrific job by Caitlin on that. Alex raised some comments about resource challenges in rural remote places, and certainly all across Australia, there's lots of remote areas in Canada. We have these challenges that paramedics face when they don't have access to tertiary trauma centers, helicopters everywhere, and lots of advanced support. So really an interesting conversation there. And David introduced the concept of assessing the shock index, a really simple formula. It's something that we use for trauma patients, particularly when we're considering anesthesia planning. And it was introduced during one of the recorded lectures with Rob Schlamp, who's one of our CCP educators here in BC. So really strongly encourage you to take a look at these cases and get in there and start posting. And for the first module, you will not be able to see anything until you've posted. And that's just a way of getting you encouraged to get online so you can participate in these conversations. Okay, so let's take a look at the due dates. We have the due dates calendar over on the toolbar, and I've created this fancy little calendar for you. The first due date coming up is the 22nd of March, and that's the due date where you'll record 2 videos, put them up on YouTube, put the links into the tool on Interact 2, and then do an assessment of the process. In other words, your learning journey. I want to hear about your gaps, your strengths, your weaknesses, and the things you need to work on between now and residential school. Also, some feedback on the activity itself. How did the practice go, and what did you think about the experience? Put those videos up by the 22nd. Now, starting on the 23rd, you'll have the ability to perform the self-assessment, which is marking yourself essentially, or evaluating your performance of the skill against the rubric using a skill sheet, as well as the quality of your self-reflections. And then I will go in as a third-party objective reviewer and adjust your evaluation as well. Now, this isn't me being a lazy lecturer. Instead, I really want you to unpack and explore your performance of these skills. So you're going to record the video after doing some practice, evaluate yourself on how that felt, and then evaluate the quality of your skill. And again, this is to identify learning gaps between now and residential school so that we can do as much as we can to be competent and confident by the end of the process. That self-assessment has to be done by the 29th of March. And the other due date for Module 1 is finalizing your discussion posts for Module 1 cases, Carly and Kate, by the 26th of March. So the last thing we'll look at is the Assessment 1 requirements, which is the skill videos. And each module has a series of skills that are required for competence and comfort, really, in this subject. And each one also has 2 skills that we want to see you practice at home, at work, and get some comfort with before we go into residential school. And to prove that you're getting some hands-on and doing some of those skills in practice, we want you to record yourself. Camera phone is the easiest way to do it, and post them onto YouTube and then share the links with us. So for Module 1, we have anesthesia planning, rapid sequence induction. So really 2 skills, talking about really the concepts around paramedic anesthesia planning, including things like delayed sequence intubation, awake intubation, and just general talk, the pharmacology involved in anesthesia planning. And then specifically rapid sequence induction, how you would do that in the pre-hospital environment, the equipment necessary, the medications necessary, some of the most important highlights. And to do that in 10 minutes is going to be a challenge, so practice that to get it down to a 10-minute or less video. The next one is endotracheal intubation. Once again, the main skills, the main steps, the focus on how you do endotracheal intubation in the pre-hospital environment, and then end-tidal CO2 monitoring. including some of the most common waveforms that you'll see, what those mean, and your target end-tidal CO2s, specific really to intubated patients or those with supraglottic airways. You'll see that I've posted some sample videos online from students from last year that gave me permission to post them. Now you'll also see a wide range of skills being performed, some from students who had permission from their ambulance service training departments to use equipment, which they have full equipment for the skills, and other students who had to use some creativity and innovation to use household objects in place of medical equipment for the skills. You'll even see a dog pillow being used as the patient, or a box with a picture on it being used as a patient. So be creative. We're not looking for exact performance of the skills as you will do in a lab, because come the res school in Bathurst, you'll have ample opportunity to get your hands on the patients, the simulated patients, as well as the equipment. So whatever you can use around your house, whatever you can use around your ambulance service, with permission from your ambulance service, please go ahead and do that to perform your skills. All right, that's it. So I hope you have a great week. I hope you enjoy the opportunity to produce the videos, and please get into the forums early so that you can have an opportunity to share some of your expertise with us and participate in some of these really incredible conversations that are going on. And if you do have any questions, please post them to the forum. If you have anything that you want to know about res school, if you have any questions about the subject outline, if you have questions, then probably other students do. So put them in the forum so I can answer them once for everybody. Now, as we know, COVID-19 has hit many different parts of the planet. And for those of you who are working in healthcare, which is pretty much everybody in the subject, make sure you're following the service protocols. Your infection control experts will put out a lot of good advice. And remember that PPE that we wear is a last resort, and it's sort of our last form of defense. And we as paramedics need to be proactive. So wash your hands a lot, often and frequently, and really well. And just take care of yourselves. Take care of your mental health, your physical health, and be safe in everything that you do. We'll talk to you again next week.